You are now listening.
You are now listening
to the Black Male Educators Alliance podcast.
Lifting our voices.
Lifting our voices.
Welcome back to another episode of the BMEA Podcast, Lifting Our Voices. I'm your co-host, Michael Payne, and I am here with the one and the only Dr. Curtis L. Lewis. How you doing, my brother in Christ?
You know,
What's going on, man?
That brother in Christ got me. You caught me with that one. That was probably the best one yet. My brother in Christ.
Middle initial.
My brother in Christ. Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta give him the
whole.
your respects,
Yeah.
for
It's
sure.
only one
It is
of
only
all
one.
of us.
Facts.
Of all of us, like one Anton Horton. I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. Enjoying myself. Been a busy
It's been
few
busy.
days, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like we just was here not too long ago.
Yeah, and you've been running around. We had just talked about your daughter's prom.
Yeah.
Graduations around the
Yeah.
prom. Man.
Yeah.
So we getting to the end of the
Yeah,
year.
prom was hype. She was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, she looked beautiful. She was happy. She came back like acting like she just had a long, rough day though. Like, so I don't know. Yeah,
It's a lot.
She
that
came
go
back,
into
though.
it, though. It is.
A lot of emotions. And
Yeah.
I can see that.
No.
You know how these kids are. But that's good, man. That is good. And I know you've been busy with BMEA stuff. We'll get to that in a second. We have a friend of the show here.
yeah.
He's a
friend of a
Principal
friend of a
Wellness.
friend of a
Friend
friend.
of a friend of a friend.
Yeah.
Principal Wellness PLC member. He's also one of our former coworkers, as well as a good friend. Mr. Anton Horton, how you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm happy to be back. I'm super comfortable here. And so if you just need an extra host, I'm available.
I was thinking about that.
Really?
I was just thinking about like making this just like a co-host kind of thing. You feel me?
I might as well.
Might as well.
But I'm happy to be here. I appreciate you guys for offering me the opportunity to be able to, chit chat about some things that I find to be really important and just being able to just have conversations, so I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. And we had talked about it when you last came on the show. We wanted to revisit after your first year as a principal and talk about that. So we'll get into that in a second. But we got some updates with BMEA. Not really updates, but things we're excited about. BMEA Gala. Finally got my tux together.
Did you?
Yep. So now I'm really
What color
excited.
you wearing, man?
Just wearing all black, man. Look, I couldn't. You stressed me out about the color. I didn't want to. The blue was the only thing
Did
I
you go to
liked.
men's warehouse?
No, I ain't gonna.
Okay,
I can't tell you
good.
about my secret, man.
Okay.
But it's all black. It's all black.
It's the suit you had on last time.
No, I couldn't. I wasn't gonna do that. The economy said I should just wear the same suit, but I said, you know what? It's our gala. I'm gonna go out. But any other event this year, we'll have that same suit.
Oh yeah.
So I'm telling y'all now, invite me out.
It's on the same one. Just take it to the cleaners first. That's all.
For sure. Just act like you ain't seen it before. For sure.
Which color you wearing, man? What color you wearing?
See, this is the thing.
Why is it a secret? Like y'all.
I mean, it's not a secret, but I'm unsure of the color that I'll wear. I know that I'll wear a color, that's not
Okay.
black. I don't think
Is
I'll
there
wear
a
black this
colorless
time around.
tux you can wear? There's
No.
a colorless tux.
I don't think I was prepared to wear black, but I was talking to Chris before the show started, and I was like, Chris, is this a black tie event where I need to wear all black? He's like, no. And so because of that, once I find out what color you guys are wearing, I'll
Did you
choose
tell us?
and determine what color I'll wear.
I'm wearing every color, all of them.
Of course.
I'm gonna change like 5 times.
I mean, I'll be like a guest. This is your event, so I can imagine you having to change 5 times.
If I change 5 times, the second time I change, send me home.
Second time's into attraction.
Like,
For sure.
the second time you change it, send me home. All right. I do have a question though, because people have been asking about this black tie.
Yeah.
I feel like this is gonna be a fun show today. I'm feeling it in my spirit.
do
I
it.
feel like we just gonna have
Started
fun.
off right.
We did. I
My
think we're just
brother.
gonna have fun
We
today.
did.
We need like a fun show.
Yeah.
But black tie, because everybody been asking like black tie. It's a black tie. Do I wear all black? You kind of alluded to that. Now you the fashion. I ain't gonna say Nista, but the fashion person.
You are an in-house expert.
You're in-house expert. Is a black tie meaning you wear all black, or black tie means a kind of dress, meaning more formal wear?
So before I talked to Chris earlier,
Okay.
I was under the assumption that I was supposed to wear all black. And the reason why I was under that assumption is because of the word black tie. Usually when I see flyers with black tie on it. It's formal dress, but usually people are wearing all black. And so maybe that language is kind of like, I don't know, you figure it out in the middle because it doesn't say wear a black suit.
No.
It says black tie. But does a black tie event mean that every person that's wearing the tie, should they wear all black? I mean, should they wear a black tie? I'm not sure. Questions that need answers. So if y'all out there and you the expert, and it's a few of y'all who I know think y'all experts, so maybe you can comment, you know, when you see this, answer the question for us, because I know you're going to say, well, he don't know what he's talking about. So
I don't know.
You know,
I don't know.
Like, maybe y'all can help.
I assume black tie just meant that, like, the guys had to have, like, the suit and tux, like the formal suit. And I think in some places it is, you just need to wear, like, black, white, whatever.
So let me ask you this question. What if you don't wear a tie, but you still dress formal?
I mean, I guess it's up to the host whether or not they let you in or not.
Does the tie make you formal?
I don't know.
Questions that
Because
need answers. So if you watching this, make sure that you comment below. You
and
know,
not to get too deep into it, but like, what if I wanted to wear a dashiki? Right? That's no tie in that, and that's super black. You know what I mean? Like, I might even come in. You know what I mean? You don't ever know.
Oh man!
So
we just got deep with it.
Questions that need answers.
Yeah.
Right?
yes. And if
Is
you
our
got an
ideal
answer-
formal colonized?
Ooh, are we
Are we colonized?
colonized?
Maybe you should wear black, my brother.
Oh, maybe I get the black. Let me stop. Hey, I want people to comment though.
Yeah, let us know.
Because everybody
Give
been
us-
asking, I was like, black tie don't mean you wear all black, but you know, people making that assumption, and you know,
Well, black people, we make up our own rules to Uno, so we definitely can make up our own rules to our formal
Absolutely.
events. Man, it's our thing. We can do what we want. We want people to dress as nice as they can. I think that people will. I'm not worried about that at all. And I'm good. And I think really only the brothers had questions. The women said, "I got my dress."
they're gonna wear what they.
Absolutely.
They're
Absolutely.
gonna
They
wear
wear
whatever
what
they
they was
want.
gonna wear for sure.
I'm excited about it though, man.
Yeah,
I'm you
it's
know,
gonna be really
I'm
dope.
glad. I'm surprised y'all keeping that a secret. What colors y'all wearing? That's kind of different.
So
but
what color are you wearing?
I don't have a problem wearing. I tell you what I'm wearing. I'm wearing some black pants. And I'm wearing, you know, a white top,
I got white.
like white shirt.
Yeah, I got white shirt for sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah. Ask him about his jacket.
Exactly.
top.
A black, whatever color top. Whatever y'all think he's hiding from us, make sure y'all comment.
Put it in the
the
chat.
comment section.
What color do
below.
you think Dr. Lewis will be wearing? I have inside scoops, so I ain't gonna say anything. I have inside scoops. I ain't gonna say
What I imagine, and this is just me, I think that he's gonna have a black top on with BMEA all over the jacket.
Man, I thought about that. But just know whatever I wear, you're gonna see it again this year.
That's a fact.
Just know that.
That's a fact.
Just know that. But man, let's I know we pumped. We are sold out. We sold out.
sold out. We can't even
sold
tell
out.
people buy
We can't even say buy tickets. We kind of want to be like, people just still, I don't know what they thought. I don't know what they thought this was, but people was, I didn't think that I was gonna wait. Yeah, and we went up. Like I said before, more tickets and we sold out. So I mean, we have a waiting list pretty long of people who have like, oh, let me know if somebody drop or whatever like that. So if for whatever reason somebody changed their mind, like something go down, I don't know why you would change your mind, but just just let us know because
I'm gonna be scalping tickets outside the event. So if you really want to get in there, it's $200.
Hey, let me tell you this though. When we posted it on Facebook, you have those fake people?
Yeah.
They were getting on there saying, "Hey, I got 2 tickets. I'm not gonna be able to make it. I'm selling my 2 tickets." It was crazy. We got like 3 or 4 of those, something like that, immediately. Like from 5 different people after we posted it, saying I got 3 or 4 tickets. It's man, people just be ready, sitting on the ready to hate.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they were ready. Like, yeah. We took care of that, but still. But anyway, I know we got other.
Yeah, man. Well, let's get into the our hot topics, man. We got some. We'll start with some fun stuff, and then we got some educational stuff I want to put on your perimeter. But NBA playoffs. Actually, Lakers are playing tonight. This is either sweep or they play again. But what are your thoughts?
So my first thought is that I think the Golden State Warriors would have done much better, but unfortunately we didn't make it here. So, I just leave that out. But I don't see LeBron losing like that. I do think Denver will take it, but I think LeBron will make sure that he at least win one game today. I think he gonna step up, make sure that his team step up. And I think that they should play for their coach. What I see from their coach, during their huddles is that he actually wants these guys to play well. I think that they had the pieces to play well and win, but I think a lot of people underestimated Denver. Throughout the year, throughout the season, Denver has been like a team that's been good, but nobody ever said that they were good because they were focused on every other team. But Denver, throughout the year, has been good. My personal opinion, and y'all can do whatever y'all want with it. If y'all win a couple dollars, just make sure I get a, whatever. But I think the Miami Heat will take the championship this year. Yeah. I think the way that Jimmy Butler is playing right now, I don't foresee anybody being able to stop him. But the only thing that makes Miami Heat much different than every other team in the playoffs is the whole team is empowered right now. It's like not one player on that team. It's the whole team and the coach, And so, like, you have to worry about every single person on the team every single night, which makes that team dangerous. And so I think the Heat will sweep Boston. Boston, they laid down yesterday, and I think they'll lay down the next game. But I do see LeBron. He going to make sure that they get one. His son Prime was just yesterday or something like that. So
that's what distracted him?
He hype. He can't lose. Like, my son graduating. I've been worried about what he gonna wear to prom.
The rich man.
You know how they get.
The prom stretch. You just went through it, man. So
I had a stress because I ain't making LeBron's money.
I'm just saying he got.
I'm sure LeBron didn't even take his son to the store to get his food.
But
I'm sure he probably just like looked through it. Somebody probably made it in the house.
I think LeBron is what I'm saying.
You think he went to the store with the men's warehouse?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I do think that he's gonna win tonight. So
okay.
Right.
Okay.
We'll see by the time this airs.
We'll see. And I think because it's not a sports podcast, but I do say
it sounded like ESPN. Like you came in with the.
Listen, he did. I was going to say Stephen A.
Stephen A. Yeah, we had Stephen A. 2 weeks in a row.
We did. We're going to have to do 50-50 sports and education. But man, being down 3-0, I think the biggest thing I've seen. The older I get, I think the more I pay attention to like, not just the basketball, but like the player, like the human side of things, right? And I think the Celtics seem like a defeated team.
Yes.
And they seem like the defeated team after the first loss. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And these guys are world-class athletes. And I don't think that they're less talented than Miami Heat, but I do think that they're mentally checked out.
Yeah, I think that it's they underestimated the Miami Heat.
For sure. Everyone
They
did.
thought that they were about to play Miami and it was just going to be like, cupcakes and butterflies. But it's exactly the opposite, And so I think they defeated. I think that their star players, they're not showing up. Maybe the next game they'll, give it their all. But Jimmy Butler, he playing at such a high level right now that I think that it's just nothing that they can do to win.
Yeah.
So what are cupcakes and butterflies?
What are cupcakes and butterflies?
I know what cupcakes and butterflies. I've never heard that together. Cupcakes and butterflies.
Sounds like you thought it was gonna be sweet.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Sweet. Butterflies are sweet.
Like
I don't know.
They're nice.
I haven't seen a butterfly in a while, to be honest with you.
A moth. And when you think about a moth, those are like something that you don't want to deal with. Mm-hmm. You think about butterflies, it's like,
Gonna be a good day.
This is easy.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good day. You see a butterfly.
Fun.
Okay.
I'll enjoy it.
You as friend. Yeah,
absolutely.
I'm just asking the questions
that's a great
today.
Man, hey, trademark that, man. Cupcakes and butterflies.
Put
it on the shirt, Chris. You heard that?
Cupcakes and butterflies.
No, man. So, and last week we really, it's a little, it might be a little underwater on the bridge now, but last week we did want to talk a little bit about Ja Morant and not the basketball side of things, but obviously he's been in a lot of trouble. But the interesting conversation was about like his father's, how much of this is on his dad, and I think as black men, we, when the father's absent, it's easy to be like, if they had a father figure there, they would be acting differently, right? If LeBron's father wasn't in his life, I think that he made a lot of good decisions to kind of like get himself to where he is now. Ja, and I don't know anything about this young brother, first off, but his father's in his life, and when he gets in trouble, the first thing a lot of my friends, a lot of people say is like, what is his dad doing, right? What are your thoughts on that in terms of like, is Ja's behavior a sign of bad parenting, or is it just he's a grown man, he's doing what he wants to do?
So it's a twofold thing. You know, I think when you think about what's happening in the schools right now, it's easy to be able to say, well, it's because of bad parenting. But when you think about the impact of social media.
There we go.
See, social media, in my personal opinion, is the first parent to a lot of these kids. And what happens is when your child is introduced to social media at such a young age, it parents while you parent. And if you don't get in front of that parenting, that's going to become the child's parent. It's going to become what the child looks up to. You know, what they see is who they want to be. You know, and so the reality is the stuff that Ja Morant was on that video doing on social media, what he was doing, it's kids every single day who don't have the same amount of stardom or whatever that does the same things that have good parents that you see every single day they present, you know. And so my personal opinion is that it's difficult to say that his dad is not a good parent. What the conversation needs to be is, why do we only care about Ja Morant doing it? You know, when you got kids that does it and do it often.
Yeah.
You know, why is it grown men that's 50 plus or 30 plus with kids and their kids are doing it and they're talking about Ja Morant doing it? You know, and so that's the bigger conversation I think that needs to be had. I also feel that, you know, the NBA, they reprimanding Ja Morant, but a lot of the music you hear during the games are artists who also rap about the same thing, but they play it during the game. They had them come perform at halftime, and so I think that you have to really think about all of those things while also holding Ja Morant accountable. Like, why does he feel like it's okay where he is with, you know, he got $200 million. That's what a lot of people are saying. But money don't matter. You know what I'm saying? When he can make money doing that too. You know, and that's what he's seen growing up is these artists that, you know, who people want to be like, more so, oftentimes more than they want to be a basketball player. You know, when you play basketball your whole life, that's a part of you. That's who you are. The next step is like, how can I really be popular?
Yeah.
You know, and that thing that make you a little different is I want to be like the people who I see, the rappers. They get the most love. That's why you see more basketball players hanging out with, you know, rap artists. You know what I'm saying? Because those are the ones who people fantasize at a young age. That's who they want to be like. So,
Good point.
I'm gonna let you.
You with me?
I don't know, man.
It's tough. It is tough. I think the initial reaction is like, man, what's John dad? That John dad need to step in there. But I think the more you sit on it, I think to his point is like, John dad could have said something. He could have raised him right, and it could be what we're looking at is because I think also people remember I made a lot of bad decisions at 20 and 21, but they weren't amplified because a lot of people couldn't see it, and I didn't have no money. And I was in an environment that didn't like allow me to be, you know what I mean? Like I'm 21 in college, you know what I mean? So I'm not, and I didn't have Instagram Live. So you know what I mean? So it's hard to say what you would not do if you're not in that position. You're not young with that money, with the environment.
But dad do have to, like if he ain't been stepping in or stepping up, he go to all his games.
Yeah.
You know, so like you got some type of relationship with your kid where you need to be able to tell him that ain't cool. Yeah. You got to be able to tell him that the people he hanging around that's recording that ain't cool either. You know what I'm saying? Like those are the type of conversation that he need to be having with his child if he have that good of a relationship with him. Like when my people used to come to my game, it was the people who I wanted to be there, who I was cool with, who I wanted to see. And so when I see his dad being there for him at the games, I know his dad be down there like he is a celebrity.
Did he get into it with somebody?
He did, Shannon Sharp.
That's all I got to say.
He a celebrity, you know. And
Tree,
so
apple fell.
This is your dad.
I hear what you know.
But it's like when I think about that part. That's important, but I just wanted to clarify because it's also important to bring that up too. When you think about this thing full circle, like it's a lot more things that go into what he did and why he thought that was okay, more than his dad having a conversation with him for sure.
You know, I'll say this, and I appreciate your perspective on it. And I say this, and I know we gotta keep it moving, but you know, and this is just something I just came up with because I'm trying to figure out like what is it. Right, and I just think at some point, you know, unfortunately, I think something's come with the territory. We'll start with teachers, for example. Yeah. When you're a teacher, they always talk about there's a moral responsibility that we have as teachers, right? Mm-hmm. That, you know, and it's whether it's appropriate or not, there's certain things, like, as teachers, we just shouldn't do. Yeah. Right? Mm-hmm. Like, you know, I probably can't do certain things and be, you know, on certain videos doing something, and I'm an educator.
For sure.
And we ain't making no money like that.
For sure.
Right? So, you know, I understood that as a young age, I can't be at the bar. I can, but I can't be. It's certain behaviors that if I get caught, they be like, man, what's like? Why you responsible for educating kids? Yeah. Right or not? It's just what it is. So let's move it up to another level, right? So you know, John Morant, he represents the NBA. Like some of y'all, you know, you represent BMEA. Yeah. You walk around with that shirt. You, at this point in time, at times, representing your school district and also this organization. There's just certain things that I'm not going to be okay with you doing when you represent a brand. Yeah. the NBA is a brand, right? And as free as they allow them to be, there's still some responsibilities around. When you're a part of this association, here's how we expect you morally to behave. Like, you can't go around popping at people or fighting high school students. Even if, like, I am not going to fight a high school student unless a high school student just come pop me beside my head and I'm defending myself. I'm not about to argue with a high school student, right? So there's certain things beyond the gun piece that makes me a little concerned. Like, bro, like, I get it. If you wanted to do your thing, bro. And I know people talk about, oh, there's white dudes walking around here with guns and all. That is real, and that is true. Yeah. However, I'm going to say this about the NBA. I don't see the NBA condoning and supporting anybody walking around flashing guns, white or black, in their association. Yeah. So the race thing is real. Mm-hmm. I'm first be examining that from that lens. But sometimes it's like, there's an expectation that we have that you got to adhere to. And daddy has to realize I'm in these front row seats because of this man. Because if that ends, the front row seats ends as well. Mm-hmm. Like, you want to sit in the front row before your son came to the league. Mm-hmm. Let's be very, very clear about that. Right? So you have a responsibility to not let him be free and do his thing and do whatever, but, like, you know, be responsible to, like, if they say don't flash a gun for $39 million, how much you make $39 million a year? I'm like, I'm not flashing this gun. I'm not. Yeah. Like, right? Yeah. So that's the NBA's rule. Like, that's the rules. Yeah. You if you want to do what you want to do, start your own league.
Build a gun range in the house.
Yeah, and do it off of social media. I mean, I think
the boy his friend tried to take it down real quick, right?
But I once again, and we'll close it out because we don't want to beat a dead horse, but everyone wants him to be safe. And I think that's the bigger issue. The bigger issue. We want you to be safe. It's not like we care about what you do in your personal life, but you're on Instagram. Kids do like you. You are popular. It is a part of a bigger social media culture that I think we can talk about a little bit when we talk about your experiences as the principal, as school director this year. This idea of clout, which a word that we didn't even use maybe 10 years ago, right? In the same way that now, like, internet has created this idea around people looking for attention in a certain way that is probably harmful to them or to others, right? So that's how I'll leave. But I think you made a really, really good point. Switching a little bit to politics, it's been a very interesting couple of weeks in politics, in government. Obviously people are going for re-election and things like that. The U.S. Debt ceiling is going to expire on June, so they're trying to figure out whether or not they're going to move it up, increase the ceiling, or let the government default and everything go to waste. But one video in particular came up recently. The Georgia representative, Marjorie Greene Taylor, that lady. Yeah. She, I guess the phrase would try to use her white womanness to accuse Jamal Bowman of being aggressive in front of the Capitol steps. when he was protesting how the Republicans were acting. Actually, I think we have a clip of it. We're going to go to that now. So to me, the video kind of disagrees with her initial statements, but I think in our experience, we've seen stuff like this before where she might have been the aggressor in the beginning, and then when going back, trying to paint him, the black man, as the aggressor, as well as just rewrite the narrative to I guess paint that she wasn't in the wrong in the first place.
You know, what your mama say? My grandma said it too. You had nothing nice to say. Don't say nothing at all.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think that woman, that beautiful human being, is problematic. And I think we can, as entertaining she may be for the media, she's dangerous. What she did, you know, is indicative of what her mindset has done for years. To actually sit there and compare like white supremacy and the N-word as like the same thing. Like, you know, he called me a white supremacist, the same thing somebody calling him a N-word. Like, what? Right? That is problematic, but she's creating this bullhorn. She used this bullhorn to like create this energy. Now that I'm going to pin white supremacist, the word, as the same thing as the N-word. Right? Some people might think that's genius. Some people, that is actually absolutely ignorant, but it's dangerous. Mm-hmm. Right. And what's going to happen is so many people are going to pick up on that and begin to think about that and equate those things to be the same. Mm-hmm. Right. When we know, obviously, they're not, right? And so she bothers me. And I've never been as harsh about a politician on this show ever, but she bothers me, and I'm very, very concerned. I'm actually very concerned for the people, regardless of who you are, Republican, Democrat, that continues to vote for her. Yeah. Like, reach down into your soul and figure out what is causing you to get up and go to that ballot and write and check whatever you draw the line together, or check box, or whatever you do in Georgia. What is allowing you to do that? Now, someone say, oh, obviously it's hatred. Yeah. Right? Cool. Yeah. But that's unacceptable for someone to have that much hatred and to be spewing it in ways. But to see that video of her and the brother talking and how she flipped it and her whole narrative of it. Now, like we just talked about the woman who just died, Emmett Till's, the woman who, and it's unfair. It pisses me off. Yeah. Right? It's like it's nothing funny or nothing glorifying about what she's doing, because so many brothers and sisters have died because of that. Yeah. Right? And I'm frustrated, but at some point we've lost a sense of consciousness, a sense of morale, like of humanness in Congress, that people just allow that to go down in 2023. Yeah. That's all I got.
Yeah, but and no, you're absolutely right. And I think the problem is that even with the media, because of Trump, and it didn't start with him, but people have found numbers in hatred, and they're running with it, right? And the media has found sensationalism in hatred, and they're allowing it to be spewed, and that's super dangerous. And I think what people are really, really missing, and how it connects to us, is that those same people are tearing education apart. Marjorie Greene Taylor, all those Republicans in the South, like those they call MAGA supporter Republicans, they're tearing education apart. Make one public education to be done. They've been trying to gut out the Department of Education in the first place. But they're also, we talked about the book banning in Florida, which is still happening, right? And one of the guys just put out a travel advisory for black people traveling to Florida. Absolutely. Just because of how DeSantis is moving. And that's a crazy thing to have to say. NAACP did it.
Yeah, they did.
That's a crazy thing to have to say, like, be careful going to Florida, because the black people already in Florida. What about them?
And I'm heading to Florida this week.
I'm going to go too. But
I'm not going because I'm happy to go. I'm going because my niece is graduating this week, and I'm going down to Florida, and I'll be driving in Florida. Yeah. I'm sending y'all my location.
No, for sure.
No, for real.
And you can say that, like, be careful going to Florida, but what about the black people in
already
Florida?
Yeah,
absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? It never makes any sense. And so I watched a clip of a teacher going through these barrels of books that the state went to the school to ban. Now, how much in your lifetime has the state ever had that much time on their hands where they can go to individual schools in a whole state with millions of people?
They didn't ban them. They just never printed them. They never put them in schools. So
they pulling these
right,
books.
I know, right.
And the kids are barely reading as is, and you still taking books. And we have an education crisis, a literacy crisis in most of these states, Florida included.
Yeah.
And you pulling books.
My question is, like, why? Are you pulling books because the kids enjoy reading them so much? Or are you pulling the books because they teach kids about their history?
Yeah. You
pulling them because it teach them about their history. And the reality is they can get it from anywhere else. And so my personal opinion about it is, as educators, it's time to be creative. Like when I think about what's happening right now in education, it just really starts to help me understand, really see a clear picture as to like what the 19, 20, 30, 40s, and 50s, what they look like. Every single time you try something, somebody was trying to take it away from you. But the thing that has to happen now is we have to be determined enough that even though there's roadblocks, right, even though these things are happening, somebody has to say, we're going to have to do something a little different. Kids reading books is fundamental. Everyone should be doing it. But we have other resources as well, where they took the book, let's figure out a way to get them to still read the book. Because our job now is still to teach kids their history. Yeah. And that's where like the thinking has to go. That's where the innovation has to happen. And somebody in them schools down there, if they care enough about them kids, that's what they need to be thinking about right now. How can we still ensure? I would probably do a history lesson. I would take kids to wherever Ron DeSantis, wherever he, do his business. We gonna do history out here every day, period. That's what has to happen now. We have to kind of get back to like really being strategic at how we approach these things. And then I would probably stop teaching some of their history, and really start to think about how we can ensure that they hear what we got to say, because these kids deserve it, and kids want to learn. You got to put them kids out there, and I think that that's what has to happen. Adults got to get out of the way. Right now, adults is the face of everything, right? Where we telling kids what they want, what they should know, what they need to learn. But the reality is, why are we so concerned about what kids are learning, right? Because kids are becoming more conscious as to what's happened. And because kids are becoming more conscious at what's happened in the past, we have kids speaking about what's happened in the past because they're trying to change the world. And because they're trying to change the world, the answer is, when we got like a debt crisis going on in this country, student loan payments, everybody owes student loans right now. People can't afford things at the grocery store. People can't afford to put gas in their cars. Climate is out of control in this country. We got a war going on in Ukraine. We got all types of things happening here right now. Yeah. And the answer is to take books out of the school. But the reason why it's an answer is because when you take books out of schools, you keep people divided, right? And that's what we benefit as a country, is being divided. So we keep these people who've been in office for 30 to 40 years in office.
Yeah.
Not about the kids. It's nothing about the kids right now.
I don't disagree, man. You're absolutely right, and I wish, to that point, I wish the Democrats or the other side of the aisle would be as aggressive with.
And that's my biggest problem.
That's
for real. My biggest problem is that, real talk, when you look at the Republicans, they'll do whatever and say whatever to get everybody to hear their agenda. Yeah, where it seemed like they working. Yeah. What Ron DeSantis is doing right now, he might not go to work, but it seemed like it. You see him all over the place. You hear him every time you turn on the TV. Yeah. Well, I just want to encourage some people in the Democrat who I know my people go and vote for all the time, who come up in some of our communities. I know that y'all are working, but we need to hear that y'all working. The people need to see some action, and y'all need to be just as, not use the same rhetoric, but be direct about what's going on. Mm-hmm. It's things happening right now, and all we hear is certain people voices, but everybody know that it's a problem, and people want to see results, and the results need to come in the form of this is what we're going to do, so people know that something is actually happening, because right now people feel like there's no hope in certain things in certain places in this country.
No. Look, babe, but look, I mean, I feel where you're coming from, absolutely, and just to kind of like take it back to more back on education, as a leader, I think people would assume you have a lot of power over, what kind of learning goes on in your school, right? This being your first year and getting towards the end of it, like, how has that been, and what have you been able to, like, really accomplish that you felt like you needed to this year?
Absolutely. I would say my biggest accomplishment this year is making it through the first year, right? The second thing is the relationships that I have with the kids. I think one of the most important things as a school leader, as a teacher, anybody who works in a school, is to establish a concrete relationship with the kids that you serve. Once you establish that relationship, you start to understand like what these kids need to be successful while they're in your building. And I think for me, one of the biggest things this year was getting kids excited about learning, whatever that looked like, and it should be the thing that every school do. Like when we were in school, school wasn't fun every day. Some days you went to school, you like, I could be in the bed right now, or I would rather be at home, probably doing nothing at home either, but I'd just rather be at home. Mm-hmm. And because that was my experience a lot of the time, I started to think about, well, what made me want to be at school? And it always went back to, like, my teachers, the principal who I had good relationships with. And those were the reasons why I wanted to go to school. And when you have those kind of relationships, you get kids who probably wasn't excited to learn. Mm-hmm.
So I do got a question for you, though. We just announced our awards, BMEA Gala Awards. Mm-hmm. Talking about the gala again. Mm-hmm. I'll talk about the gala even after the gala.
For sure. We got to.
Hopefully, it's, we how great it was. That's the plan.
Absolutely.
But, one of our awards was the Transformational Leader. Mm-hmm. And I could see you to be, in your first year as a school principal, to be a transformational leader. And so I want you to talk about sort of what that means for you. Why would you consider yourself a transformational leader?
Absolutely.
Okay, I like that. I appreciate that. So define for folks and for, and also talk about what makes, because I think you think about the principal role a little different, which makes it transformative, right? Mm-hmm. And so I want you to talk about some of the things that you do differently, sort of the lens in which you view your work as a leader. And because you're young, like, this is not being around. You're young. This is your first year. People might have looked at you like you're young. I don't know what's going on. But you've done a fantastic job. So just talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so I would say the first thing is just reimagining what school could be like, from the lens of a school leader. I think a lot of the times when you think of the role of a school leader, the job is to ensure that students are in school every day, and while they're in school every day, that some teacher is teaching them something. Mm-hmm. When you think about that, though, it's like you're expecting kids to want to be there, and for them to want to be in a classroom, and for them to somehow, some way, go home smarter than they came in the door. But that's not fun, and that doesn't mean that you're going to, in the future, create other school leaders, and so the way that I approach the work is first establishing positive relationships in the space, but then also trying to lift up our space to be a space where where students will want to come back and work, and help them understand that you can be doing the same job that I'm doing. But how do you do that? You have to make the job seem more fun, more relatable to the kids. Help them understand that the thing that you used to, this ain't who I am, The way I do that is by ensuring that we see people in our community inside of our school building. Making sure that we find time to have fun field trips. Just right along with field experiences where students go out and learn things. Establishing time to build relationships with teachers. I think that that's the most important thing as well. Right along with relationships with students and families is relationships with teachers. To ensure that everybody is behind the same goal, even though it might feel different. When you used to a certain thing, the new thing might seem different. But I know one thing as I reflect on the school year, it's easy to get lost in the chaos sometimes because school sometimes is chaotic. But when I think about this year and the goals that we set for our school, and one of the biggest goals is to feel joy and to ensure that every single day that the students walk through the building, they felt some form of joy. I feel that we accomplished that goal multiple times throughout the school year, and I feel that in the midst of the chaos, it still happens. Every day might not be the best day, but that day, somebody in that building felt more joy than they would feel at home at school. Because you can see it, and you can feel it. What I sometimes think about winter break happened, when I was in school during winter break, I'd be ready for winter break to happen. Like, I don't want to see y'all. I don't want to see my teachers. Like, I'm good. I'm done. What we experienced at our school during our breaks, when winter break hit or the next break, kids don't want to go. They want to be at the school around their friends. And when you have that type of community and you have that type of, feel going on, you're doing something right. And I feel that we see that on multiple occasions. I was just talking to my assistant principal today about, our kids really love this space. Kids, they try to be cool, they act like it, whatever, but they really be wanting to be there, and you can feel it. And so I think that for me, that's what describes a person that's a transformative leader, thinking about the work a little different, but not putting aside the things that need to happen. Like, kids need to learn, right? But understanding how you can deliver that and deliver something that they also might want to do just a little bit more. How can we combine those things where we coming into school learning and we having some fun in school as well, And so that's what I think about every single day, and I just encourage and push the other leaders around me every single day to meet me there,
So another question. I know we got to wrap it up soon. You were part of our original OGs, even though you're young OG. If that's can you be a young OG?
You see something different every day.
Yeah,
I know
that's
few.
another question we need to answer in the chat.
If you got some money.
So you've been an original part of our Principal Wellness, as you can see on the shirt, for 2 years now, and we wrapped up our last official session this past Saturday. We gonna continue to work somehow, but talk a little bit about what that experience has, being a part of that fellowship has meant for you as because you started off, you were dean, and you became a principal throughout those 2 years. So talk a little bit about that experience and how it's kind of helped shape who you are, what role is played in your role as a principal.
I think for me first, I just want to just stop here and just say I appreciate you for pushing me to, be a part of that. When I first heard about it, I messaged you. I'm like, is this something that, and you like, yeah, of course you're going to benefit from it more than you think, just by being around other school leaders that's been through things, experienced things, just to hear. And I'm like, okay. But now that I've been in it for 2 years, I would say is one of the best decisions that I've made because what it does, it forces you to put yourself in front of everything else. When oftentimes you put yourself behind everything else. And it's like something that you do like naturally because of who you are, where you don't really think about yourself that much. And you are able to really hear from other people similar things that you're dealing with. You know, it forces you to be transparent and vulnerable, but also it allows for some accountability from people who really care about you. You know, and oftentimes you think people care about you, but they don't really even know what's going on with you. You know, so when I'm able to sit in a fellowship meeting and we're able to just really talk about like life, you know, like work is work gonna happen, work gonna be stressful, but you're able to talk about life. You're able to talk about like what are you facing at work and how do you work through that, you know, and being able to like really work with people who've been doing this work for 30 years, you know, who have the experience but also had a capacity to listen to you, give them some advice. And so I appreciate the full experience. One thing that is pushed me to do is to constantly think about how have I neglected my wellness this week? How have I, you know, why didn't I do what I said I was going to do in our fellowship meeting? Like it's forced me to hold myself accountable to like take care of myself. And I think that that's a good problem to have, you know, where you are actively reminded to do the things that's helpful to you to support you in this work. And so I want to like say again to you and to everybody that's a part of the fellowship. And if you aren't a part of the fellowship, it'll be another cohort. I will encourage you as a school leader to join. You will find it to be very beneficial because even as a school leader, we'll put that to the side. But just as a person living in this world, it's important to think about your wellness. We live in capacity where we just take so many things in from people and just our surroundings that we neglect ourselves a lot of the time, and we end up sick, not feeling well. And so I just encourage you, once the application go out, to do what you need to do to get into this fellowship. You will not regret it. And if you don't do it, that's your fault.
That's your fault.
Yeah.
And I'll say this as I know we get ready. I keep saying I know we got to get ready to wrap up, and I keep talking. But I do want to shout Anton out too, man, because he's been an ambassador for this organization. And he's unapologetic about it, and I can appreciate that. You know, like I can be a part of an organization and still run the school. And I just think that's important. So this shout out to you on behalf of BMEA. You wear your shirt every time I see you walking around with your shirts on. We got to give you some more because you're gonna wear them.
Yeah,
so we gonna get you. If we got one hanging around here, we'll get you one before you leave.
That was the plan.
But he's been an ambassador for this organization from the beginning since he's been a part of it. And you know, Anton is getting an award, or you know, in a couple of weeks, the Soul of Philanthropy.
You know. We'll be in there together.
Yeah, we will be.
So be on the lookout for that. It's beautiful, you know, to come from Detroit, really.
Yeah.
And to be noticed for anything, it feels good. You know, to come from a city, to go through things in the city, and then to be noticed for something, it feels good. But the work we still got a lot of work to do, you know, and so those things are good, but you know, the type of work that I'm doing, ain't nobody on this world, you know, gonna make me feel good about it. You know what I'm saying? I'm doing this work for God. You know what I'm saying? And when you doing God's work, you know, it ain't gonna never stop. So I appreciate you. He'll be there too. Don't let him fool y'all. You know, we'll be there together. You guys will see it. Chris will take a lot of pictures.
I don't know if they're gonna let Chris in, but Chris ain't gonna be there. But we will have pictures there. 100%. No, shout out to you, man. I appreciate the good work. And he's only 12 years old, y'all. Like he's only 12, and so because he's only 12 years old, man,
you can do it too.
You can do it too, man. And he's an example. Don't let nobody tell you, no matter how young you are, what you can do and not do. Because of your heart in it, you can make it happen. And he has proven a lot of people wrong. And I've been riding from this guy since I made him read this Restorative Practice book 3 years ago now. Mm-hmm. And he actually read it and met the deadline and was able to talk about it. And from that point in time, we've been rocking and rolling. Absolutely. And so, you know, I always got to put people through something, like make sure, like, is you really about this life? Right. And he read it. And he's applying, because it's who he is. Yeah. He thought he was somebody else. That book reminded him that's the core of who he is. Yeah, so I tend to do that to remind people who they are. But stay humble, brother. You are doing the work. The awards will come, but our biggest reward is from the man. So keep doing your work, man, and I'm very proud of you. You'll continue to be back. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
We're gonna bring you back again this summer just to be a co-host because you were going in.
Yeah.
And so we want you to continue to go in and continue to go in with the schools, man.
Absolutely.
Like very proud to have you be a part of the BMEA family.
Absolutely. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate y'all for having me.
And I'm appreciative that the kids have a leader like you. You know what I'm saying? Especially in this climate and what we got going on. So having a transformative leader, transformational leader, is what our schools need, what our kids need. So you're definitely the right man for that job. And before we close out, we're actually going to go to interview a clip about another transformative leader, one of our winners, actually, of our Transformative Educator of the Year award, Mr. Isaiah Williams. And so we're going to show you our interview that we did with Isaiah when we got a chance to sit down with him in Chicago. All right. Welcome back to another episode in the series of our Black Male Educators Experience. I'm here with an educator from New York, Mr. Isaiah Williams. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing well, King. I appreciate you for having me.
No, we appreciate you coming, man. So we are out here at the AERA conference in Chicago. Isaiah is a part of the Teacher Wellness PLC. And so talk to us a little bit about some of your reasons for joining the PLC.
So really joining the PLC was me to actually, work on my wellness. Wellness is something that I felt that that was an area of growth for me. And I've seen how the alignment came with actually being part of this fellowship. Yeah, I felt like it was something that along my journey on where I'm at now was something that was necessary for me to work on for sure.
I got you. So how long have you been in education?
I've been in education for 2 years. It's my second year. My first year I taught 12th grade social justice, and now I'm actually teaching 9th grade ELA.
Dope. 12th grade social justice, man. So what was the reasons for you getting into education? Like what was your why?
I would say my why is, so just to give you a backstory, initially I really wanted to play basketball. I was in a real bad car accident. I broke my leg, pelvis, skull fracture, neck fracture, 7 ribs. I flatlined. I lost one of my dear friends, and I was looking for ways to just grow. Basketball was something that they told me I probably wouldn't be able to do anymore. I got back to doing so, but along my journey, my healing process, I got pushed into education. I met a great person that said that a lot of my ways would really align with being in education. And that's how it kind of started for me. So, it feels good to help, young kings and queens to navigate their academic journeys, but at the same time help them navigate life. So I feel like, I'm doing God's work.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. You teach in the Bronx, right?
Yes, I teach in the South Bronx, close by like the 167 area. Dope kids, they write us off, because of our neighborhood, but, great kids, great souls, for sure.
Okay, man, that's what's up, man. So, teaching in New York, and I know people have their misconceptions or whatever their preconceived notions are. What would you say some of the benefits? I don't want to say benefits. What are some of the things that you enjoy about teaching your kids in the Bronx?
It's just like what you just said. My kids. I resonate with their experiences and their traumas, and that's the best part about education for me, is to be able to help them navigate those things. I didn't have the best practices to navigate, life. I learned pretty much through, I would say, things I didn't want to be, or things I didn't want to do, and I was able to identify that. So that's the best part, being able to help them navigate their lives.
Yeah, no, that's a good point, man. I've taught in different cities, but I think that there's probably like a richness in being able to teach in your own city. I never got to teach in Delaware, but that's definitely a richness in teaching the kids in your own community. Y'all have that connection, man. And it's also rare, obviously, being a black male in education, man. So how have you seen the kids kind of like respond to your presence as being a black male teacher?
Yeah, I would say I'm understanding now, with this being year 2, that there's a need for black men in education, and that they embrace me because I resonate with their experiences. I'm able to create those connections because I know where they come from. Right. So when I see a young man that's probably lashing out in another classroom space, I get it. And I'm able to de-escalate that and regulate him because I know where that comes from. Because at some point in time in my life, that was me. Right. you know, so I know what that looks like, and I'm able to actually create those connections for them. And I think that's the best part. You know, I'm also, you know, young as well, so I'm hip, you know, to a lot of their things and stuff that they're into. So being able to create those connections are pretty much good.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I joined education early on too, and I could kind of sense that like being connected to like the youth and what they're into, it really helps when it comes to just not management, but you know, building relationships. If you could give, I know you're still young in your career, but if you could give other teachers who are thinking about joining the profession or going into their first year next year, like what is the one piece of advice you always want to give teachers for their first year?
I would say, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to fall. Don't be afraid to fail. I think early on, a thought that I tried to have was always being perfect, and you're not going to be perfect, right? You have to be able to adopt new things and be able to pivot, and that's pretty much me getting education was actually pivoting. So I would say, you know, don't be rigid in your practice. You know, take it a day at a time, and just don't be afraid to fall. You know, you're going to have days where things are going to work, things might not work, you know, and you have to be able to be flexible, I would say.
For sure. And you know, we talked a little bit about wellness too, man. You know, we talking about you're becoming vegan, and you've been working out, calisthenics. So, you know, outside of that, what other things do you do for your wellness, like taking care of your mental health and things like that?
Yes. So I'm outside of training, I'm super big on writing. So along my healing process physically, my older brother, he actually had got me a journal, and I wrote every day for a year and a half. And at the end of every journal entry, I would write, I will. And I will became, it was a play on my name, but it was really like a mantra for me that kept me going. So me actually continuing to write after going through that is something that I stay close to because it allows me to unpack my thoughts, unpack my ideas, and really get thought to paper so I can actually manifest certain things. So that's something I'm super big on. I'm also big on reading. I would call myself a lifelong learner. And to be able to block out that time throughout my days or weeks, extremely big for me, you know, for my wellness.
For sure. That's dope, man. Writing. That's the first time I've heard that, man. I write a little bit too, kind of just for fun. Not necessarily journaling, but like nonfiction, fiction stuff. Just something else to do, man. But last question, man. You know, you've been in the PLC for a few months now, man. How have you feel like you benefited from this program?
Yeah, so I would say, you know, being in the PLC has opened my eyes to a ton of information centered around wellness, a ton of things that I honestly didn't know that I did, and, you know, pretty much giving me like the best practices to actually navigate myself. So it's been great, and it's also been great to connect with the community, you know. It's a blessing to be around like-minded individuals and other thought leaders, you know, to be able to expand my horizons and my thoughts. So it's definitely been great, for sure.
Great. Well, we appreciate having you, man. Appreciate you joining us on the show, right? This has been another episode in the series of Black Male Educator Experience. I'm your host. Thank you for joining us. Peace.
Listen, so that's, you know, we are collecting like infinity stones of transformative brothers in this work, man. And that's the idea. I know when you had this idea for years, you know, a lot of it, how even it started, BMEA, was the fact that you had brothers that believed in the work, and we saw that the outcomes.
Yes,
we saw the outcomes.
Yes.
So he made me a believer immediately because I was in there. Like, he's not just talking about it, right? And so when you meet other brothers, it's important that believe in it. That it's important that we come together because in our unity and in our collectiveness, we support one another, but we also move forward as a unit, man. So. This has been it for the BMEA Podcast. You can see us next week, Thursday at IG Live. And then we'll be back in 2 weeks to wrap us up for the summer. You have any last words you want to say to the people?
Just make sure y'all taking care of yourselves and, you know, take some time to do something fun for yourself, something positive, and spend time with your loved ones. That's all.
Absolutely. Got anything for us, the Honorable?
Man, the gala.
The gala. Yes, I'm excited. So, for Dr. Lewis and myself, that has been the BMEA Podcast, Lifting Our Voices. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
You are now listening
to the Black Male Educators Alliance podcast.
Lifting our voices.
Lifting our voices.